Hey everyone, today I'm going to review this MAyART Creativity watercolor paper. I bought this paper at Overjoyed, which is a local art store here in Singapore, for $4.12 Singapore currency, so that is slightly more than $3 US. So there are 12 sheets of paper in this paper pad. The paper is 300 GSM, size is A4. The paper has no cotton content, it's hot press and acid free, and that's the company that actually makes the paper, Maypap. It's a Malaysian company and the paper is from the Netherlands. This is the first time I've heard of the brand and company. I'm not sure if this paper is easy to find or available overseas in other countries. So I bought this because it's very affordable. I wanted to see how good this paper is. Just for comparison purposes, this Fabriano Studio watercolor paper with 25% cotton content. Now this paper pad is slightly larger than A4. It has 12 sheets of paper as well. This is 2 times more expensive compared to this. Alright, let me show you some tests. Let's just do a very quick ink and watercolor sketch. This paper is hot press and it works really well with pen and ink. This fountain pen that I'm using, this is the Sailor fountain pen with a zoom nib. So the lines here are very thick, which is great because my camera can capture the thick lines very easily. The lines are very solid. There is no feathering. This paper is bright white as compared to the Fabriano Studio that I showed you earlier. That's actually off-white. It's a bit creamy, but this paper, this is bright white. And this hot press smooth surface paper, it's just really nice to draw on with not just ink but with colored pencils and crayons, which I'm going to show you later on. And now let's paint with watercolor. I have already set the paper at an angle so the water should flow down. Let's have this truck or jeep in orange. I'm going to have the colors blend on the paper. So let me add a bit more water here. And I'm going to charge in some red when this wash is still wet. I can see the ink is not completely dry yet, unfortunately. Sorry about the sound of the drilling. There is some construction work going on. So notice this area here. Now if this is 100% cotton watercolor paper, the color should blend very easily because the color, the paint will move very easily. But here you can see when I added the red onto the wet surface, it moves a bit and then it stops. So we have this very abrupt edge here. For quick washes where you just paint, dab and go, I think this should work fine. The paper does work well with watercolor, but not with wet on wet techniques. Just that for painting, for very stylized art, I think this paper, it works well enough. But if you want to paint like very loose, if you want to paint with a lot of color blends, it's going to be a bit challenging with this paper. And now let's paint another layer over the first layer to see how well the paper handles glazing or layering. Seems to work fine. I feel like 2 layers is the maximum I can go. One good thing about this paper is because the paper is bright white, watercolor can appear to be vibrant, very vibrant on the paper. It is difficult to produce vibrant colors on low quality watercolor paper because the pigment or the paint will actually soak into the paper. So when the light reflects off the paper, it's actually not reflecting the pigment that's on paper. So this is quite nice. The colors are quite vibrant. And now let me show you how colors blend on this paper. So this is a wet surface. I'm going to draw horizontal strokes. If this is high quality cotton watercolor paper, you will see the colors blend very softly. But here, you can still see the horizontal strokes very obviously. This is how paint behaves on good quality watercolor paper. So ultramarine was painted first, and while the wash was still wet, I painted horizontal strokes with the purple paint. And you can see the colors, they blend so smooth to the point that I am no longer able to see the horizontal strokes, except for this one right at the top. But here, it's very obvious the colors, they don't blend as well. I mean, if you want to blend the colors, you have to make more effort to actually go in to the wet wash to push the colors around. More effort is needed to blend colors on this paper. So wet on wet techniques are challenging on this paper, but I do like how vibrant the colors are or can be on this paper. Let me show you a few more quick sketches. These are mixed media sketches drawn with colored pencils and watercolor. So you can see the colors can be quite vibrant. And the white of the paper really does help make the colors more vibrant. And now let's take a look at how color pencils perform. This smooth surface works well with color pencils or graphite pencils. Let me have some yellow as well. Now if you want to, you can actually cover the paper very easily. Color pencils, they don't work as well on cold press paper, but for hot press paper, it works quite well. I really enjoy using color pencils on smooth paper, on hot press watercolor paper. Let's have some red to make this more interesting. Let's try crayons too. These are new color crayons from Karen Dutch, and they work really nicely. Let's see what happens when I press down really hard. So you can see the crayons can cover the paper almost completely. Water-based markers are going to work fine. You can use alcohol-based markers on this paper as well, but the paper is going to soak a lot of ink, so it's going to make you use up your markers really quickly. So I recommend using water-based markers instead of alcohol markers on this paper. Overall, this paper is really worth the money for me. For practice purposes, this paper performs alright. Actually, this performance is very similar to the Fabriano Studio watercolor paper, even though that has 25% cotton content, but the performance is very similar, and this is half price, so it's really worth the money. It's a good deal. The only limitation here is with wet on wet techniques. It's very difficult, very challenging to have the colors blend softly together. But other than that, I really enjoy creating quick sketches, creating mixed media sketches using this paper. I hope this review is helpful. Do check out my other watercolor paper reviews. I'll put the link in the video description below. See you guys in the next video. Bye!